Hey everyone, today I'm having a look at the Asus P8Z68-V LE. Now this motherboard has a Z68 chipset, which means features such as Intel Smart Response technology and Lucid Logic's Virtue. It's socket 1155, which means it supports all the second generation Core series CPUs. Now for a look at the back of the box for some of the motherboard's main features. Up the top we have a write-up about the Asus Dual Intelligent Processors, EPU and TPU. Just pause it where you need to. Here we have more of a write-up about both TPU and EPU. So basically TPU is the performance processor. So it's a dedicated processor for things such as auto-tuning, which is auto-overclocking and also real-time overclocking, and EPU is the energy efficiency processor for power-saving features. GPU boost is the ability to overclock the GPU onboard the socket 1155 CPUs. Also, this motherboard has the Asus UEFI BIOS. Here we have the specifications of the motherboard. Okay, included with the motherboard is the back I/O shield, two SATA 2 cables with a 90-degree angle on one end and two SATA 3 cables with a 90-degree on one end. Drivers and software disk, also a quick start guide and a user guide. Now for a look at the motherboard itself. Starting in the top left hand corner you can see the 8-pin EPS CPU power connector. Moving across the top of the motherboard you can see two 4-pin fan headers. One of them is the CPU fan header. Moving down the right hand side of the motherboard you can see the memory slots. This motherboard takes up to 32 gigabytes of dual channel DDR3 up to 2200 MHz overclocked. Next to this you can see the Mem-OK button. This is for when the system fails to boot due to incompatible memory settings. You press this button and it will set safe settings for the memory and boot the system. Below this is the 24-pin motherboard power connector. Moving down you can see a midboard USB 3 header. Now down in the bottom right hand corner of the motherboard you can see 6 SATA connectors. The blue SATA connectors are SATA 2 and the white are SATA 3. All of these run off the Z68 chipset. Moving across the bottom of the motherboard you can see the front panel headers. So there are 4 USB 2 midboard headers for 8 USB 2 ports. Next to these you can see the TPU on-off switch. Now moving up the left hand side of the motherboard you can see the front panel audio header and also 2 more fan headers. This is for a total of 4 fan headers on this motherboard. Now it's time to have a look at the PCI slot configuration. Starting from the top we have a PCI Express ×1 slot, then a ×16 slot, then another ×1 slot, a PCI slot, a PCI Express ×4 slot and 2 more PCI slots. This motherboard supports CrossfireX but not SLI. The top PCI Express ×16 slot will always run at ×16. The PCI Express ×4 slot shares bandwidths with the 2 PCI Express ×1 slots, so it will only run at ×4 when those 2 slots are not populated. Across from there you can see a heatsink. This is cooling the Intel Z68 chipset. Now for a look at the CPU socket. So this is socket 1155. This motherboard has a 4+2 phase power design. So you can see it has a small MOSFET heatsink. Looking at this heatsink from the side you can see that it's low profile, so CPU cooler compatibility won't be a problem. Now for a look at the back side of the motherboard. So you can see that the MOSFET heatsink is held on by plastic clips, but the heatsink covering the Z68 chipset is actually screwed on. Now for a look at the rear I/O panel. Starting from the left you can see a combo PS2 port, 2 USB 2 ports, an optical SPDIF out, a HDMI port, a D-sub and a DVI port, 2 USB 3 ports. These run off the same as media controller that the midboard USB 3 port runs off. So there is 4 USB 3 in total on this motherboard. Then we have a gigabit LAN port which runs off a Realtek 8111E chip, 2 more USB 2 ports for a total of 4 USB 2 ports on the back panel. There's also 8 midboard USB 2 ports, so this motherboard has a total of 12 USB 2 ports. Then we have the 8-channel audio. This runs off a Realtek ALC892 chip. That sums up this review. Please subscribe, like and favourite if you want to see more. Thanks everyone.